Okay, I'm here to do another video right quick because basically I wasn't expecting the video to get that many views that quick. In just 2 weeks it's over 20 something thousand views, and I guess it's still being viewed. It's still growing. I want to thank all the new subscribers as well. Thanks for tuning in. I was exhausted. I normally do my live stream on Sundays, but I was exhausted, so I didn't get a chance to do it on this past Sunday. But hopefully I'll do it this Sunday. But I just want to clear, because I'm still seeing there is a controversial debate between home recording studios and there's still a debate between the commercial studio and the home recording studio. And I think people are misconstruing the home recording studio versus the commercial studio and the reasonings about the home recording studio. Some people are saying it's all about DAWs, AI programs, plugins, music creation. They're coming up with all kinds of reasons. And I'm just going to, let me clarify something. The home recording studio, the commercial recording studio is only for the need to make money. Their whole purpose is to make money. Their purpose is not about making better music than the home recording studio, even though commercial studios are ideal for recording. They're designed specifically for recording. But that's not the bottom line. That's not the bottom line to a commercial studio about recording in the gear. It's about having clients that can pay for what they charge to rent that commercial studio to that artist, producer / engineer. Period. It's about making money. And when recording studios cannot make money, they do one thing. They either try to revamp their business model to make money, or they close and go out of business. That's like any other business. It can't make money. It can't sustain being open, especially with the overhead cost. Yes, recording studios are designed with having some of the best gear in mind, having the best rooms for recording, having the best gear in the control rooms. Yes, that's the whole idea. Irregardless if they're going to have a console or not, if they do have a console, whether it's an Allen Heath, a Neve, a Cadec, an API, an MCI, a SSL, a Neve, they're going to have all this outboard gear. They're going to have all these microphones, cables, patch bays. They're going to have this awesome looking control room. They're going to have these nice live rooms, wood panels, diffusers, and all this. And yes, it is awesome. But that's not their all. They want to attract clients with those settings. But recording studios can be expensive because it costs so much to maintain and run a commercial studio. And when the recording studios are not making money, they're not getting clients, because record labels just don't give advances to artists anymore that can afford to pay those kind of prices. Most of the unsigned independent artists never had that money to be able to go to those premium commercial studios anyway. So those commercial studios would not book to most independent unknown artists, because they knew that those artists couldn't afford to pay $300, $400, $500 an hour, and up to $5,000 a day, or $10,000, or $25,000 a week, or whatever it costs to record in like East West. They had A-list artists. Where at the time, even back in the day, you would have ranging from the biggest artists to Michael Jackson to Frank Sinatra. But they had budgets from the record labels that would allow them. Michael Jackson had he was getting $2, $3, $4 million advances. Prince and all these artists were getting these big type budgets. all these big rock and roll bands and everything. They were getting these big budget advances from these recording artists. And that was the business model for most people that get signed to a record label, major or independent, is they would get advances to pay for the studio time and everything else. But when that stopped, and they can't afford, so recording studios weren't making any money anymore. So a lot of them were forced to close. They were forced to sell their gear and close because they just weren't making the money. They couldn't afford to stay open. They couldn't afford to pay their staff. The recording studios always have a staff. They got a studio manager. They got studio engineers. They got maintenance teams. They got a crews of people in there. Lots of people in there that they have to pay. Then they still got to pay the lights, water, gas, the building, the mortgage, the insurance, everything else. Security. They have to pay all that monthly. And if they don't have the artists, but those bills are still due regardless if you got clients or not. So as people realize, as technology have gotten better, plugins have gotten better, Pro Tools, Logic, Studio One, Harrison Mix Bus, Reaper, Cakewalk, whatever you use, and plugins have gotten better. There's so many companies making nice replicas of all the vintage go-to gear. They're making clones of all the sought after pieces of gear. They're making clones that sound just as good for a fraction of the cost. So people are jumping on that left and right. They're making microphones. It's about 300-400 microphone companies. There's at least, I don't know, at least 50 something plugin companies. There's 30 or 40 replica companies, do-it-yourself companies, mixing large format consoles, because most people, when you think of a recording studio, you think of three things in your DAW. Your DAW is your tape machine, it's your mixing console, and it has the ability to use all your third-party plugins, which are basic software emulations of rack gear, for the most part. So what's in the control room? The mixing console, outboard gear, and the tape machine. Like, I have ADAT tape machines. I also have the hard disk recorder. And I also got my audio interface to convert for going into my DAW. That is the so most people are eliminating what they feel they need to eliminate. Most people need a DAW now because most people just don't record on tape machines anymore. Tape machines are great, but people just don't really see the need of them because they're just not cost effective. To spend $200-$300 a tape reel and only get 3 songs on a tape. You have to have 10, and then on top of that, you have to always align and calibrate and maintenance the tape machine. Most people just don't want to do that. They just rather get them a high-end audio interface or a nice interface with at least enough inputs and outputs on it, what we call I/O. And either they're going to use a console or they're going to use the console in the DAW. That's both of them are effective. And other than that, it's a choice of using outboard gear or they're going to use plugins. That's the choice. That's the main things. Other than that, you just got to pick a place where you want to record. If you can record in your bedroom, because you just don't need a live room. It's all genre dependent. Some people don't need a live room. I don't understand why I can't get some people to understand that when they're making these comments on these music. It's like, if they're making hip hop or trap music or electronic music, EDM music, they don't need a live room. I don't understand why I can't get people to click through that. Not everyone wants to record rock and roll. Not everyone wants to record Beatles or Led Zeppelin. Not everyone's into that. But you got some people who are very, very biased. They think, oh man, I'm recording Rolling Stones type of rock and roll music, so that's the only style of music out there. No, it's not. And that's why you get all people making all these crazy comments on the page. Commercial studio, you're not going to get good music unless you have a live room. What kind of music are you talking about? Because, for example, if you take Young Guru, who's a hip hop producer that makes beats for like rap artists like 50 Cent and Jay-Z, who did it on like I got an MPC Renaissance. That's where, you know, if I'm doing beats and samples and loops on that, it don't matter if you making fun of, oh, well, this is good. It ain't me. All you now is just a laptop with loops and samples. Yeah, but that loops and samples is making Jay-Z lots of money. Long as you're not sampling where it becomes copyright infringement. And some of these people are using it where they make sure it's not copyright infringement. It doesn't matter because you like rock and roll. It doesn't matter. And it's the same thing. There's a lot of people that sit there and, you know, like people that like rock and roll, and the people that like hip hop, like, I don't care about no rock and roll. And, you know, it's the same thing. The people that make hip hop don't care that you don't like rock and roll. They like rock and roll. Same thing with country music. Same thing with rap music. Same thing with trap music. There's 50 different genres of music. There's jazz. There's Christian. There's gospel. There's seasonal music like Christmas music. There's jingles. People gotta get unbiased when they in this music thing. They think it's only one genre of music. It's like when you go to the Grammys. Why do you think the Grammys have so many different categories? I don't know why people think there's only a rock and roll category. That's whatever. Anyhow, so the home recording studio is just a lot more. It's in the end, and there are people that think you can't get a professional recording from a home. And I'm not going to even get in debate with that because I know for a fact I'm getting professional results in my home. The skill set is about the experience. Someone can go to a pro level studio and hire an inexperienced engineer and not get a good recording because they don't know how to use the gear. You get some brand new student fresh out of, spent 4 years, at whatever, Los Angeles Recording School, whatever, and getting into a studio and don't even know how to insert gear on an SSL console. He has clueless, or he doesn't know when to use what compression settings on an 1176 or whatever, or doesn't even know to use 1176 versus using a TubeTech CL1B or whatever, or doesn't know when to use an LA2A, or doesn't know when to use a de-stressor, which compressor is going to be more effective for vocals in a signal chain. Which mic should I use? A Sony C800G or whatever? Should I use a Newman U87? Should I use a Telefunken 251? Should I use a Newman U47? Should I use a 47 FET? Should I use a 67 tube microphone? Should I use a solid state? They don't know. They're inexperienced. This is the reason why you want to have a seasoned engineer or experienced engineer. He knows. We better use an SM7 on that vocal. That dynamic mic is going to sound a little bit, or that ribbon mic is going to sound a little bit better on that than that. That comes with experience. So yeah, I normally would use an API preamp, but I'm going to use the 1073 preamp for this setting, for this one. Or no, I'm going to use a Universal Audio 610 on this vocal. This is going to be a nice preamp with this microphone. That comes with experience. And not everyone, and there's going to be the argument that, yeah, of course, there are going to be always people, there's going to always be people that can get on YouTube and try to learn. Not everyone's going to be good at this. Some people will be good at this. Some people won't. But in the end, commercial studios they're not shutting down because of AI. They're not shutting down because of DAWs or plugins or whatever. They're shutting down because they're not getting clients that can pay what they need to charge for them to stay maintaining and open and operating. it's kind of like if you bought, it's kind of like you have to use it like with this, and I'll end the video. If you opened up let's say you opened up a convenience store, and you have every product in there. You could sell beer, wine, sodas, milk, juice. You got rolls full of potato chips and cookies, and you got all like typical stuff that you see in a convenience store. And you buy, you know, because you have to buy this product to stock your store. You have to spend all this money to stock your stores. And you're going to, how you do it is, you know, you buy it at you know, you can buy a box of 30 boxes, you know, a box that has 30 mics, what I would say, Lay's potato chips that come 30 in a box. You buy them at a certain price because you're buying in bulk, and you're going to sell them. I bought this box, cost me $20, but I can charge $4.89 per bag, you know, so I can sell one that's 30 in the box or whatever, and I can make $150 off a $20 box. That's $150 profit I can make, or whatever, as an example, or whatever it's gonna, how much I can make, right? So, but the problem is, that's the intended goal, is to sell out of potato chips so you can keep ordering more and keep making profit. You take a little bit, you take out of that, let's say you make $400 that you sold. If you sell 30, you could take $20 and buy another box of 30, you know, another box of 30 bags of potato chips, $20, and then you can keep making profit. That way you can, you know, that's how you make profit. But if you got only one client where you were selling all those, but all of a sudden people stopped buying your potato chips at your cost because they went to the next. They can go down and make. They got a potato chip maker at their home that they bought. Now they can make their own potato chips. We're like, well, I can make my own potato chips. Why do I need to go to the store and buy them for $4.89 a bag? I can go get some potatoes and make my own potato chip maker. And make it at home. And all of a sudden, now you're not selling those potato chips anymore. They're just sitting on the shelf and expiring. Before you know it, you have to throw them away because they expired. You realize, well, I'm not going to buy. Well, I can need to buy less bulk. And before you know it, it's the same thing with all the other products. Before you know it, you were getting customer after customer after customer after customer. And then all of a sudden, now you get every blue moon, you might get a customer that might walk in, and they might just buy one soda because people have soda making machines at home now. Like, well, I can't sell this 20-ounce soda for $3 a pop anymore because people, you have sodas that make it at home, or people just aren't buying sodas anymore. You know, they're drinking healthier stuff or whatever. So now you got all this stuff sitting on the shelf. It's like, and now you're looking at but you still have to pay your lights, your water, your gas, your insurance, and everything else. And the bills are coming due, and now all the customers that came into your store, now you're not getting no customers at all. Before you know it, like, I can't afford to stay open. I can't pay my bills. Because if you don't pay your lights, they're going to cut the lights off. They don't care if you're a business or not. You don't pay the water bill, they're going to turn the water off. They don't care if you're a business or not. They don't care. This is what was happening to commercial studios. Once clients stopped coming in because they weren't getting the advances. Because they weren't getting the advances, they can't book the studio. Because the studios were still charging $150, $200 an hour. That's just to rent it. If you need an engineer, that's an extra $100. And if you need to mix it, that's going to cost that. If you need us to master, it's going to cost this. But I can't afford to pay that, you know. Then they look at it and, oh, I saw an SSL for $15,000 on Pro Sound Audio. I saw a 48 channel SSL. Oh man, for 15 grand. Oh man, look at that. Oh man, I saw some used outboard gear on Reverb. I can buy some Distressor, or I can use Z Sounds, and I can just make payments on gear. Oh man, there's gear on Reverb that I can buy, or there's clones I can buy. Oh man, plugins. Look at the call. I can get a whole bunch of plugins. Oh man, DAWs. And man, well, I can do that. Well, I just buy this and just let me turn one of my rooms and do some acoustics and all this, and I'll just build it in my bedroom. I'll just do that. and I'll just, I'll do the acoustics and everything else, and I'll just do it in my house. It's cheaper. I don't have to rent it. I don't have to pay monthly cost. I can just do it that way. And a lot of people did it. It's like with Van Halen. Van Halen was paying all that money going to Sunset Sound, and then Eddie Van Halen realized, no, I can do this at home. So he built 550 Studio. That was his address. It's called 5050 Studios. It was his home address. Even though he wasn't zoned for it, he said, well, the city was like, why you, and he said, well, I'm building a racquetball court. Really, he had a recording studio there. Prince did the same thing. Prince stopped going to Sunset Sound. He went and built Paisley Park. A lot of recording, just like George Duke had LeGunk Studios. It was in his home. He was putting out album after album out of it. He converted his basement and garage into a pro level studio. He was doing all his albums, bringing top artists to, because George Duke was well known, rest in peace. Prince, well known, rest in peace. Whitney Houston, well known, rest in peace. And on top of that, people realize I can afford plugins. I can afford clones. I can afford used gear. I can afford, whatever the case. I can just do this at home. I don't have to worry about booking a studio. I'll just do this at home. And millions of people are doing that. Not everyone is doing that. There's still millions of people. It's not, I ain't gonna say millions. It's still hundreds of thousands of people and artists and groups that still go and book recording studios. But it's not on a large scale like it used to be, where there's not like it was in the 70s and 80s and 90s. It's not. And then more and more independent artists are doing this at home and putting out their album. Now, whether it's good or not, that's a different video. But we're talking about money efficiency and economic, because everyone knows today, I don't know anyone today that is doing well. Even the industry, you got artists that are broke. The economy is bad. I don't care how much they try to say the economy is good. It's not. The economy, you can't say the economy is good when they don't even want to pay people $15 an hour. When people need at least $15 an hour, they need a minimum of that, and they claim, well, $15 an hour, we can't afford to pay $15. That's the problem. And I can go on and on and on. I don't like to get into politics, because I see issues on the right and the left, Democrats and Republicans. You got people that are pro-Trump, and you got people that are pro-Democrat or whatever. I see issues on both sides, because yes, we do. Yes, I'm not against people coming to this country. I'm against people coming to this country illegally, because I can't go to their country and just. Yes, I am. I do have a problem with immigration. But I'm not against immigrants, because if you go back to the history, everyone that came to this country was an immigrant. But that's a different video, and everything else. So like I said, I don't get into politics. I don't want to get into all that, because then before you know it, because I'm just not going there. But the recording studios, a lot of them have to close because they just can't afford to stay open. That's the bottom line. It's expensive to build a recording studio, and it's expensive to maintain one. And as long as you have clients as long as you have a whole fluctuation of clients that can afford to help your studio stay maintained and running, you're doing well. But the minute that starts, like any other business, the minute it stops, your business is going to go under, because you have to be able to maintain. So that's going to do it for this video. That's what I want to talk about. And that's it. Y'all have a great one.